Hello, Fina here from Fina Reads. Welcome back to a new video, this time my February TBR. And if you watched my bi-weekly book ramblings and January wrap-up, you know that I'm in a kind of funky reading mood right now. So I thought for my February TBR, first of all, I'm not putting 300 books on it, just a handful. And then I focus on some of my commitments and I will keep the rest for mood reading. Because over the last months, I've acquired some really cool books, and I don't know, I feel if I'm planning out my TBRs, which currently I have a TBR list till September already, which is completely bonkers, that I'm kind of losing out on those books. So I'm keeping a little bit, time left for mood reading, because I'm wondering if my January was kind of meh, because I had books where it was like, I kind of want to read them, but not right now. I don't know. We will see. Anyway, my February TBR will focus on my commitments, and then I will not list all the books that I have on my mood read list, because then we would sit here for like 3 or 4 hours, because it's a lot. Let's start with the one that you probably all know is coming, and that is going to be Kristen Britton's First Writer's Call, which not only is book 2 of my Green Writer read-along, so, it's part of that whole read-along process. It's also part on something that I'm participating in that Ben from Literature Lofi, I hope I'm saying this right now, is organizing over February, and that is February She Wrote, which is a month-long event where we're celebrating female authors and authors who use the she, her pronoun, which I think is an amazing initiative. He did that last year already, and I saw that by accident, and I thought, you know what, that is something really cool. So Kristen Britton, female author, fits perfectly in there, so it kind of is two things in one. I don't know if there's much more to say to First Writer's Call in general, besides that I'm loving the cover of the book. I know it's cheesy fantasy, cheesy 90s fantasy, but I'm loving the cover, and I love the hefty feel of the US paperback. It's incredible. Book 2 of the Green Writer series. This is the book where the world opens up a little bit more, so we learn more about our main character Kerrigan, and we learn more about Zacharidia, the world she's living in, and, the Green Writers itself, the history of the Green Writers, so I'm actually really excited about it. Another book that falls into the February She Wrote category as well is Winter of the Witch. Yes, Winter of the Witch. Earlier I kept saying it the other way around, so I'm glad I finally figured this out. Which is book 3, and with that, the final book in the Winter Night trilogy. So I just finished book 2, and hope I'll get to book 3 in February. And it's not just hoping, it's also February is the month where Evie is reading book 3 on her channel as part of her read-along, so I want to follow along so I can join her live session later in the month, etc., etc. And plus, I just want to know how the story ends. So I loved book 1. It was on my top list in the last year because I read it in December, and it ended up on my top fantasy reads of 2021 list. Book 2 was okay. I love book 1 a lot more because it had a lot more of that fairy tale character. Book 2, not as much. It felt more like a regular fantasy book, but I still enjoyed our main character with her animal companion. And, I obviously I can't spoil too much, so I can't say too much. And generally how the story progressed was interesting once I got into it. The ending was very good. And from some reviews that I've seen, book 2 seems to be kind of, the dip for a lot of people, but with book 3 it takes up again. So I'm really looking forward to the ending of that series. Next up on the read-along list is Roadwork. And it's not just a Stephen King book, it was originally published under the author name Richard Bachman, which is a Stephen King pen name. And Jake and I are doing a read-along, and a couple of people have joined already over on Jake's channel. Anyway, we're doing a read-along for all the Richard Bachman books in publication order. So last month we did The Long Walk, this month we are doing Roadwork. And Roadwork is a Stephen King book, or a Bachman book in general, that I haven't read yet, so I'm actually really looking forward to that. And last book on the buddy read part is The Push by Ashley Audrain. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Which is another, it says Thrills and Chills, so it's a thriller. And if I even understand it correctly, it's more like on that psychological thriller, being in person's head and something like messing with people's head type of thing. And that is actually a book that is part of Jake's and Stacy's TBR swap, but I wanted to read it too. So when Stacy and I started talking, we said, okay, we're just reading it together. And Book of the Month, where I had some credits left, had this in their selection. So I thought, you know what? This is perfect. This is a sign or something like that. This is the push for me to read this. Ha ha ha. One of the other books that I'm hoping to get into in February is book 2 in the Prince of Nothing trilogy by R. Scott Baker, which is The Warrior Prophet, which is a bit chunkier too. It's also in the 600 page, well, it's exactly 600 pages. First Writer's Call is over 600 pages. So it's one of my chunkier books this month. Sorry, there is a little ding in there that I need to straighten out that bugs me otherwise. All right, here we go. While I wasn't super thrilled with book 1, I still liked it enough, especially the two of the main characters, that I want to know how it continues. And as I said in my biweekly book ramblings, now that I know that it's essentially a retelling of the Crusades, I don't need to worry about the plot too much anymore. I now know, what the end goal is, or I think, I have an idea of what the end goal is. Let's say it that way. Because who knows with R. Scott Baker? And this is one of those series that I think if I do not continue sooner, first of all, I will start forgetting things from the first book, and maybe my motivation will go down and down and down, and then we'll continue, to move further away in the TBR, and then I have to reread book 1 first otherwise I'll have no idea what's going on in book 2. So that's why I kind of want to not force myself. That sounds like I have no fun reading it, but I want to make sure that this stays top of mind, and I really, really want to try to get to this in February. Lastly, 2 books, and those are 2 shorter ones, like together they are 300 and a little bit pages, that I want to read are Luke Tarzian's, I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right. If not, please let me know. Adjacent Monsters series, book 1 and 2 are out. And that's because 1, the covers are amazing. And I got actually book 1 from his newsletter for free. And then I saw that he is organizing some sort of book tour with a couple of people in a bit later in February for book 2. And I applied for that and got accepted. So I'm actually reviewing book 2 for book 1 and 2, let's face it. I will have both books in my review as part of that book tour. I don't know much about it, and I want to go into things blind. As you know, I love to go into books as blindly as I can because I think it just adds to the experience. What I know, though, is that he covers some mental health elements in those stories, and that's something that I'm actually really interested in, to see how he has done that and how that plays out as part of a fantasy story. And what else is there to say except for gorgeous covers? That's where I'm ending this. February TBR. It's enough books. What are you planning on reading in February? Is there anything in particular? Like, are you planning on joining February She Wrote and read something from a female author? I'd love to know. I'm actually really interested in that. And thanks so much for watching. As always, thanks so much for stopping by and listening to me rambling about random books. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon with my next video. Bye.